ॐ दक्षिणास्य समारम्भा शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमा अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ता स्मर्या गुरुपरम्परा श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। परिज्ञानाश्रम श्रीगुरुशङ्कर परिज्ञानाश्रम शङ्कर सद्गुरु केशववामन कृष्णपाण्डुरङ्ग आनन्द परिज्ञान गुरु सद्यो जात शङ्कर सद्गुरु गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम् यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः। We are now in the 17th chapter where Lord Krishna is talking about the three types of Shraddhas, the Sattviki, the Rajasi and Tamasic Shraddhas. And right now, Bhagwan is explaining the relevance of these three Shraddhas in our day-to-day activities or in our lifestyle, day-to-day lifestyle of an individual. And Lord Krishna has divided our day-to-day lifestyle into four aspects. One is ahara, with respect to the food we eat. The other one is yajna. Yajna means the Vaidika karmas and the Laukika karmas, which also means the way we interact with the other people and with the Jagat outside us. Then tapas. Tapas means the discipline, physical, vak discipline, and the mind, at the level of the mind. Whatever discipline, self discipline one follows, that is called as tapaha. And last one is danam, where one shares whatever one has in some form or the other with other people. So if you look at it, in those days also, in the Vedika days also, Vedic days also, as well as here also, now also, most of our lifestyles are centered on, if you look at it, these four things. And we completed the three Shraddhas Lord Krishna described with reference to the food, ahara, and also the yajna. Now we'll directly go to tapa and dhanam. Here I'm not spending too much time because already these aspects have been dealt with in the 14th chapter in the Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga and also in the 16th chapter in the Daivasuri Sampatti. And since there is not much of a tattva or teaching here, I'm taking it, I'm going a little fast so that we spend only whatever time is absolutely necessary on these verses. So directly now we'll go to the 14th verse, which we completed. We completed the 13th verse in the last time. Now we'll go to the 14th verse where Bhagwan talks about the tapas. And when he talks about tapas, tapas means the discipline, the individual discipline, the personal disciplines that we follow. And when Lord Krishna talks about it, he talks about it from two angles. One is what is the locus or the karana on which the tapas is based? Is it based on the body itself, which is called as shariram tapaha, or whether this tapas or discipline based on the vak indriya, which is called as vak tapaha, Vachika tapaha, and also there is the tapas which is centered on the mind, which is called as manasam tapaha. So in this aspect it describes it first, and then specifically the three shraddhas with respect to the tapa he talks about. Now in the 14th verse, the shariram tapa, that is the tapas which is centered on the body, on the physical body, is being talked about. Let's read the verse. देवद्विजगुरुप्राज्ञपूजनं शौचमार्जवं ब्रह्मचर्यम् अहिंसा च शारीरं तप उच्यते. That discipline or tapas which is centered on one's body, which is called as shariram tapaha. What is it? He says pujanam or worship. You see, pujanam or worship is one of the most important aspects of discipline, because pujanam, especially at the form of the, as shariram tapaha, which is centered on the body, is very, very helpful in getting rid of our tamogunas and also the rajoguna. That is why our Pujya Swamiji insists so much on Devi Anushtanam, Devi Pujanam, Guru Pujanam, because it is this pujanam which is a shariram tapaha, which helps actually in getting out of this tendency for inertia and tamas, which unfortunately these days we have in plenty, a lot. So now he says pujanam or worship. On whom? Who are those people, or who are those things which are worthy of this pujanam, where the puja or the worship is done in the form of a sharirika karma. Now he says Deva Pujanam, Ishta Devata Pujanam. Now we know that Deva Pujanam here means puja where we have an Ishta Devata, a deity of our choice, or even Vishwarupa Darshanam also, as Ekarupa Ishvara Bhakti or as Vishwarupa Ishvara Bhakti. We have a deity over which we, on which or towards which we offer our puja or our worship, which is one of the most important of Sharirika or the Shariram Tapaha. It may be, the 16 varieties that are open, Shodasha Upachara Puja, or whatever, in whatever form one is used to doing the puja. So Deva Pujanam, Dvija, the knowers of Vedas, Brahmanas or knowers of Vedas. Brahmana here means the knower of Veda, the one who has studied the Vedas. Dvija, he is also worthy of pujanam, that he has to be worshipped in any form. Various forms of worships are given, like when a person, a brahmana who's a dvija or who knows these Vedas comes, he's kind of welcomed with Purna Kumbha, and there are so many ways of pujanam of this dvija. Then Guru, of course, all gurus. It need not be only the Vedanta Guru or Shastra Guru. It could be our Guru of any other subject also. That is Guru. And Pragnyaha. Pragnyaha here means a Jnani. A Jnani, a Shrotriya Brahmanishta Jnani, an Atmagnani or Brahmagnani is also worshipable, pujaniya. So this pujanam of Deva, Dvija, Guru and Pragnya. And also he says Shaucham Arjavam. We have already seen it any number of times in the 13th chapter, in the 14th chapter, in the 16th chapter. Shaucham means Bahya and Antarika Shaucham, cleanliness of the body, mind, sense complex, and also the surroundings. Arjavam, which also we have already seen, straightforwardness. That is one, Rujubhava between the thought, the speech, and also the action. Rujubhava or Arjavam. Brahmacharyam ahimsa. Ahimsa already we have seen several times. Brahmacharyam means, adequate management of the senses and appropriate attitude towards a person of the opposite gender. Brahmacharyam also means a commitment in knowing what this Brahman is and what my real nature is. So, this kind of a commitment where I do certain karmas in the form of going towards the Guru, sitting at the feet of the Guru, learning the Shastra by Shravanam. This can also be called as Brahmacharyam, Ahimsacha, Shariram Tapa Uchyate. This is called as the Shariram Tapa. Next, we come to the Vak Indriyas, the Vak Tapas, most important for us, especially at this time. And Bhagwan here explains the Vak tapas in this way, as in the 15th verse. Anudvegakaram vakyam satyam priyahitam chayat swadhyayabhyasanam chaiva vangmayam tapa uchyate. So what is this vangmaya tapas or vak tapas or vachikam tapaha? What is it? He says here, whenever I talk to somebody, I should be careful that my speech has these four things in it. Number one, anudvegakaram. My speech should not disturb anybody, like talking very loudly, talking in a very rude manner, all the time trying to find faults with somebody. Udvegakaram, which can cause a lot of stress and udvega in the person who's listening. So my talk should not cause any disturbance or udvega to the person who's listening to me. So anudvegakaram vakyam, my vak should be anudvegakaram. And secondly, satyam. It should be as far as possible yathatmyam or satyam. I should be able to say the truth to a large extent. I should not unnecessarily to make it anudvegakaram. I should not be saying something which is totally false. All there is no scope or there is no place for all these white lies and gray lies or black lies. No, it should be as far as possible. The truth, yathatmyam, has to be talked about. It should be priyam. It should be something which should make a person happy, that when I'm talking to a person, my speech or my vak should make a person happy. And hitam, it should be for the good of the other person. So these four things: anudvegakaram, satyam, priyam, hitam. Now you may ask me, is it really possible to really talk in such a way that all these four components are there? And Bhagwan Shankaracharya says here, even if one or two components from these four are missing, it is not Vangmaya tapas at all. All the four should be there. That means it is so difficult for us to talk anything without, sometimes hurting the other person, without sometimes some things which are not very, very pleasant to listen. But then I have to make an effort. And if I find that I'm not able to really utilize all these fours in my talk or my talking to somebody, better keep quiet. Just because I want the other person not to be disturbed. If I'm going to tell total lies, that is not the thing. So what here Acharya Shankara, Bhagwan Shankaracharya says in the Bhashyam is, if it is possible, let all the four be there. If not, then better keep quiet. Unless an opportune moment comes where you can utilize or where you can include all the four. So it is the most important aspect of Vangmaya Tapas. Then he says, Swadhyaya Abhyasanam Chaiva. Constantly chanting, constantly in the sense at least some time in a day, some kind of a vachanam, some kind of a chanting, some kind of a parayanam of either Bhagavad Gita or the Brahma Sutra Bhashyam or anything, some kind of a parayanam of our spiritual texts to keep them going. Swadhyaya Abhyasanam Chaiva Vangmaya Tapa Uchate. That is why it is a trend. It is also told that every day may one Upanishad, at least one Anuvaka of one Upanishad, at least one chapter of Bhagavad Gita, and those who are mumukshus and students of Vedanta, let them read at least a few paragraphs of either of the Prasthanatraya Bhashyams of Acharya Shankara, which forms a very, very good Vangmaya tapas. Now, next, I'm not spending much time on it. Of course, there are gurus who spend 2 or 3 sessions on these things, but then if we understand the basic, what is the crux of how one should talk to the other, and if these four components we are awareful of, that is sufficient enough to make me follow the discipline of Vangmaya Tapaha. Then in the next verse he says, Mana prasada saumyatvam maunam atma vinigraha bhava samshuddhirityetat tapo manasamuchyate. At the level of the mind, the third karana, body is one karana, vak is the second karana, Now, the third karana or the instrument of action is the mind. And at that level, what kind of a tapas may I follow? Manah prasadaha. That is a mind which has samatvam. Second chapter, we have dealt with it. Samatvam yoga uchate. Third chapter, entire chapter on karma yoga, basically for chitta shuddhi and also for, this manah prasada. That is samatvam, some kind of a samahitatvam of the mind, which is called as manah prasadaha. Whatever I am doing, whenever I am accepting any results of my actions, there is this shantata in my chittam, where there is acceptance of all the karmas with samatvam. This is called as prasada buddhi and mana prasadaha. Saumyatvam, gentleness in the way I deal, with people, the way I talk, the way I deal with people, a kind of gentleness in my entire attitude. Maunam. Now, Maunam, we already said that it is one of the tapas which we can have for Vangmaya tapas. That is why many times Maunam, say once in a week or once in a while, a person goes into total Maunam. That is also one of the tapas. With the Vangmaya tapas, Maunam is actually centered on the Vak Indriya. But mere Maunam at the Vak Indriya is not sufficient enough. There should be that quietness in the mind also. So Maunam at both levels, at the Vak level also, and also at the Manasika level, where the mind is silent enough and calm enough, where it is able to direct the Vakindriya towards Maunam. So Maunam, Atma Vinigraha. This term also we have seen in the 13th chapter in the values, Amanitvadi values. Atma Vinigraha here means Shama. Shama, the Madi. The mind is under my control. I am in charge of my mind. The mind does not take me here and there. It does not take me to places. So this kind of a mastery over the mind or Shama is called as Atma Vinigraha. Then Bhava Samshuddhihi. Bhava Samshuddhi means the cleanliness in my motive. Whenever I do anything, whatever action it may be, either a Kayika action or Vachika action, the motive behind that. What is my motive? Is it a motive which is clean enough? Is my motive something to get something out of others? Or is my motive that it should be whatever I'm doing should be beneficial to me also to the other person also? So the cleanliness and the shuchi in the very motive of my every action, it is called as bhava samshuddhihi ityetat tapaha manasam uchyate. These are the components of manasam tapaha. So, taking three levels of the body, the mind, and the Vakindriya, the three types of tapas were talked about. Now, in the next three verses, Bhagwan talks about what is a sattvika tapas, what is a rajasa tapas, and what is a tamasam tapaha that is going to be talked about. So in the 17th verse, he says, Shraddhaya paraya taptam tapastastrividham naraihi aphalakankshibhiryuktaihi satvikam parichakshate. Satvikam karma or satvikam tapas is that where I do that shariram va Vangmayam va, manasam va tapaha. How do I do it? Paraya shraddhaya. With all the shraddhas, this is what is to be done by me. This is the discipline that is told by Bhagwan Krishna, and also these are the disciplines talked about in our Shastra, in Shruti and Smriti. And following this, going through this, doing this karma in this way, doing this tapas in this way is going to be beneficial to me and to the rest of the people around me. With this kind of an extreme shraddha in this tapas, when I follow any of these tapas at any of the three karanas, it is shraddhaya paraya taptam, paraya shraddhaya, with extreme shraddha. And then what it should be? Apala kankshi bhir yuktaihi. No akanksha that this discipline that I follow is meant for getting me this. Drishta phalam va, adrishta phalam va. I am doing this tapas, therefore I should get this phala. This phalam now I should get, or I should get it after my death. I should go to higher lokas. Iha va amutraha. I want some phalam out of it. No, that's not there. Phala aphala kankshi means the one who is not really worried about what phalam I get out of this tapas when I follow, but that is followed for the sake of following it because it is good for me to follow this. That's it. What comes out of it, the results that come out of it, that does not matter. This kind of a tapas, without having any kind of an extreme to phala akanksha. This is called as the satvika tapas. And it could be at the any level, at the level of the body. It could be vangmaya tapas or it could be a manasam tapaha. Then next, opposite to that, I do the tapas, but for what sake? For the sake that everybody should know, everybody should see me doing this tapas. It should be obvious. I should be known as a person who is a upasaka, who is a tapasvi, who is doing all these things. I have seen visiting cards where people are writing Gayatri Upasaka, Devi Upasaka, where they write that they are so and so upasakas, that they are doing this kind of a tapas. Now, this is meant only to attract the attention of other people. That is Rajasic tapas. That's what Bhagwan says here. Satkaramana pujartham tapodambhena chaiva yat kriyate tadiha proktam rajasam chalamadhruvam. This kind of tapas, either sharirika or vangmaya or manasika tapas that is done, manasa tapas, shariram tapas or vangmaya tapas. What is it? Satkarartham. Everybody should do satkara to me. Pujartham. Everybody should do puja to me. Somebody told me, I have gone to Manas Sarovar, Kailas, I have gone and come back. Therefore, I have done some great tapas. So, everybody who comes to receive me should fall at my feet and do puja to me. Well, if it is done by others out of their own choice, that is different. Yes, it is done sometimes. But then, if it is demanded, this kind of a puja or this kind of a respect, this kind of namaskara is demanded out of other people, then that is nothing but dambha. Pujartham tapo dambhena chaivayat. Ostentatiously showing off only to make other people see what I am doing for the sake of puja, for the sake of some kind of a pada puja or namaskara or dakshina or whatever it is, that they should treat me like this. People should look at me like this. They should do this to me because I have done this tapas. Kriyate tadiham proktam. If such is the intention of doing any kind of a tapas, it is called as Rajasam tapas. It is chalam. It does not get any kind of a phalam for it. Neither here drishta phalam. I may get a little drishta phalam in the form of some attention. I may get some attention from others. That's all. But then, really speaking, it is adhruvam. It is chalam and adhruvam. That it does not have any importance and does not give me any kind of phalam which is really there for a sattvika tapas. Then what is tamasa tapas? Here he says in the 19th verse, he says, मूढग्राहेण आत्मनः यत्पीडया क्रियते तपः परस्योत्सादनार्थं वा तत्तामसमुदाहृतम्. Any tapas which is done at the cost of one's own sharira pidanam. Bhagwan never says do any tapa to torture your own body or mind or to torture others. If there is any kind of a tapas, muda grahena, out of some kind of a moha or some kind of a wrong understanding, atmanaha yat pidaya, creating a lot of torture for the body, fasting for days together, chandrayana, krachadi, all these kind of tapas which people are doing, sometimes they do. This kind of tapas which is only going to cause sharira pida. Atmanaha means, the self, the body is tortured. One's own body, it is really not necessary. Bhagwan is just asking us to have a, shraddha and also ananya bhakti in Bhagwan. That's it. He's not asking us to stand on one foot, or sleep on a bed of nails and things like that. All kinds of tapas are being done. They roll over, this called as urul seva and all that. It is not something which is very easy to do, and it is really not necessary also. That's what Bhagwan says here. Anything which is meant for swa body, sharira pedanam, or causing problems to the others. So, parasya utsadanartham, troubling others, for causing problems to others. This Drupada Raja, he did a great tapas. What for? To have a child, a son, who will kill Dronacharya. Amba did great tapas. Why? I have to be reborn again so that I can kill Bhishma. I can destroy Bhishma. Ravana did great tapas. What is the purpose of this kind of tapas? To destroy others, you know, to destroy anybody who comes in my way. I should not die. Great tapas being done. I should not die by any means. No man or animal should kill me. I should not die inside the house or outside the house. I should not die by any instrument or any ayudha. What is this kind of a tapas? It is a tapas which is done out of wrong understanding and parasya utsadanartham va, to trouble others for the sake of getting, kind of causing problems to others. If this is the type of tapas I follow, either to trouble and torture others or to torture my own body, such a tapas is called as tat tamasam udahritam. Such a tapas is called as tamasam. So, Bhagwan Krishna explained from two aspects this tapas, from the point of view of the karana on which the tapas is based, and also whether it is a sattvika tapas, rajasa tapas, or tamasa tapas. Now, the last part of what Lord Krishna promised to talk about in the lifestyle of an individual, which is called as dhanam. Dhanam means sharing. In our day to day life, there is no day which goes without our sharing something with others or partaking something which is shared by others. So in Danam also, Bhagwan talks about three types of danas. So he says here, Datavyamiti yaddanam diyate nupakarine deshe kale cha patre cha taddanam satvikam smritam. Datavyamiti, I have to do it. I see that there is a person who is in need of help, and that person may not be able to repay it back to me. In spite of that, I should do something for this person. With that Shraddha, when I give something, when I share something which I have, it is called as the Satvika Danam. Datavyamiti. Kartavyam, idam maya kartavyam, datavyam. I have to do it. At this time, this is my duty. I am in a place where it should be done, and I should help this person. Yad danam diyate, datavyam iti yad danam diyate, anupakarine. I may not get anything back from that person at all, but I am doing because it is to be done at this time. And as a human being, it is my duty to help and do this so that the other person is helped by whatever I give. And also, deshe kale cha patre cha. Danam given in the right place, desha, not anywhere and everywhere, not in any kind of a shuchau, place, in the place where there is no dirty place. No, as far as possible, in a clean place. That is why in Tirtha Kshetras and on the banks of the sacred rivers, most of the time, Danam is given because it is a Punya Kshetra. Danam given in Punya Kshetra. Kala, at Kala also, at what time are we giving? Not any time we want. In Magha Masa, we do some kinds of danams. And in certain other types of masas and other types of times we do. During Amavasya, we do give some danam. During Grahana, we give some danam. Okay, so there are some Shraddha Kale, we give danam to the Brahmanas. So, like that, there are appropriate times also at which danam given is going to be useful, and it is going to be good for the giver also and for the taker also, and also patre, the one who deserves it, not to the one who does, without even trying to find out whether my giving danam to a particular person helps that person or not, whether he is a patra to receive this danam. Like Bhagwan Shankaracharya says, giving danam to a taskara, that means to a thief, or to a person, who is trying to cheat somebody else, is it worth giving danam to such a person? Like our signal light begging persons coming and asking. There's nothing wrong if we say no to such people, because we don't know with what intention and with what things they are coming, bringing all these maimed children with them and asking for, begging for danam. One doesn't have to feel wretched about it. One doesn't have to feel bad about saying no to such things. So the one should be patra to the jnanam. I should find out, I should know, yes, this person is in need of my help, and this is datavyam, and I have to give it. So desha, at appropriate place, appropriate time, and to the appropriate person when danam is given. This is called as the satvika danam. Then, yattu pratyupakarartham phalamudishya va punaha diyate cha pariklishtam taddanam rajasam smritam. Dana given with the intention that, okay, today if I help this fellow, tomorrow I can ask him for help. Maybe he'll be able to return whatever I have done. So, pratyupakarartham, prati upakara, that I should get something back from that person, iti apeksha, this kind of an expectation. Phalam uddishya, or when I do this danam, I will get this phalam. I have done this danam, this danam, this danam, this danam. Only this particular danam is left to be done. So let me do this also. Then probably I will go to some higher lokas. I may go to Swarga loka. Now, this kind of an expectation of any phalam, drishta phalam or adrishta phalam, diyate pariklishtam taddanam rajasam smritam. So such kind of a danam where there is an uddesha, there is something where I have an expectation of the phala or a pratyupakara from the other person, this kind of a danam is called as rajasam danam. Then अदेशकाले यद्दानम् अपात्रेभ्यश्च दीयते असत्कृतम् अवज्ञातं तत्तामसमुदाहृतम्. No desha, kala, patra, nothing is seen here. So a person who doesn't deserve it, and at a time when it is not supposed to be given, and at a place where it is not supposed to be given, I do the danam. At the same time, asat kritam avagnatam. When I give this danam also, I don't give it respectfully. You know, I give with scant respect, like throwing something to a person, while giving danam. As such, the person who is coming and asking for danam is feeling very, very small, and when I give danam, I have to be careful in such a way that I should respect that person, that he has received what I am giving. And therefore, I should have the respect. I should talk to that person in good words, respectfully, thank him for receiving whatever I am giving. And when I do this, then the danam is having some value. But just because a person is taking something from me, if I'm not respectful to that person, and if I'm going to use words to make him feel still smaller, that is a satkritam, satkara without any satkara, asatkritam and avagnatam, tat tamasam udahritam. Such a danam becomes a tamasa dana. Therefore, whenever we give anything also, let us be very, very aware of when, where, to whom, and with what attitude towards the person to whom we give danam, and also towards ourselves as to what is it that I'm expecting out of this danam. This is what Bhagwan has now completed, the four aspects which he promised to talk about: ahara, then yajnaha, tapaha, and danam. Now, Bhagwan wants to talk about this entire Bhagavad Gita. We ended with Om Tat Sat, and this is the only chapter which is now left behind. 18th chapter is only the conclusion and summary. And here Bhagwan now wants to talk about what is this Om Tat Sat, and what is its role in our ahara, yajna, tapaha, and danam. Is there any role in of this particular Om Tat Sat iti, this particular phrase which we use? What is its significance? What is its importance? So in the 23rd verse, he says, Om Tat Saditi Nirdeshaha Brahmanastrividha Smritaha Brahmanastena Vedascha Yajñascha Vihita Pura. So it is said that Om Tat Sat. These three words indicate that Bhagavan or Brahman. They are the indicators of Brahman, Ishvara or Bhagwan. So whenever we say Om, Tat or Sat, all these three words either used independently or used all together, Om Tat Satiti, what do they indicate? They indicate that Brahman about whom we are learning in the Shastra. That is why when we begin something, many times we begin with Om Tat Sat. When we end something, we end also a very important thing with Om Tat Sat. Of course, many people use this Om Tat Sat in a very, very casual way also, but this is not something which is used very casually. Om Tat Sat here means that which is indicative of that Brahman, that Ishvara, that Lord, because of which I am able to do all these karmas, yajna, dana, tapas. And what Bhagwan Shankaracharya says is, when we use these words, even Rajasika, dana, tapaha and yajna can become sattvic. Basically, it is to convert all my activities into sattvika karmas that I use these three phrases together. So he says, Om Tat Saditi Nirdeshaha Brahmanaha Trividaha Nirdeshaha. In three ways, Brahman can be indicated: Om, Tat, and Sat. And Brahmanaha Tena Vedascha Yajñascha Vihitaha Puraha. And these were the words used to explain or to indicate, and indicated by Brahmanas, means the knowers of Vedas. Here, Brahmana means the knowers, the ones who have understood the purport or the teaching of Vedas, Brahmana, Veda, and also Yajñascha Vihita. During any of these yajnas, the Vedas and the Brahmanas have used these as indicators to indicate that Brahman or the Lord. So, therefore, how is it used? Now, individually, Bhagavan is going to talk about the Om, Tat, and Sat. So, in the 24th verse, Bhagavan says, तस्माद् ओमित्युदाहृत्य यज्ञदानतपः क्रियाः प्रवर्तन्ते विधानोक्ताः सततं ब्रह्मवादिनाम्. So, tasmat, therefore, Om iti udahritya. So, whenever we start anything, how do we start? Om iti. We start always anything auspicious when we start with Om. Whether it is any kind of a yajna, any kind of a karma that we do, we start with Om. Om iti udahritya. It seems when something has to be started, the teacher or the acharya or the brahmana gives an indication. Om means maybe start the procedure. If the procedure or if any karma has to be stopped in the middle for some reason, Om, it is halted. Restart. Om iti. And at the end of it, when a particular yajna or when any Vaidika karma is over, then it is Om. That means yes, over, enough. Instead of saying enough now, let us stop. No, Om. Om means it is indicative of even conclusion of a Vaidika karma. Therefore, tasmad Om iti udahritya yajna dana tapah kriyaha. Let us start all these yajna, dana, tapakriyaha with Om iti, starting with Om, so that we are making whatever karma we are doing auspicious. Pravartante vidhanoktaha. This is the vidhi given by the Shruti and the Smriti. So those who follow this Shruti and Smriti, those who follow this vidhi of the Shruti and Smriti, they pravartante. They do whatever they have to do, starting satatam, always starting with Omkara as an auspicious thing. And it is said that this Om, Tat, and Sat were the three words which came out first from the mouth of Prajapati Brahma when he started the creation. In every creation, when Prajapati Brahma starts the creation, these three words are the first words that come out of the mouth of Chaturmukha Brahma, Prajapati Brahma, Om Tat Sat. And therefore, because they were the first phrases brought out by Brahma, Lord Brahma or Prajapati Brahma, at the time of the Srishti of this universe, they are taken as the most auspicious, and therefore we use them at the beginning of every of our actions and also at the end of all our actions. Then, what about Tat then? तदित्यनभिसन्धाय फलं यज्ञतपः क्रियाः दानक्रियाश्च विविधाः क्रियन्ते मोक्षकाङ्क्षिभिः. The mokshakanshis or the mumukshus also use this word tat, tat brahma iti, tat. But of course, tat can be used independently, but then it is not used independently. It can be used, but generally used along with om and sat. So tat iti anabhisandhaya phalam yajna tapaha kriyaha. Phalam anabhisandhaya. Without expecting any phalam of one's karma, like all the danam or tapaha or yajna that one does, one uses the word tat in this to start the kriya or to end the kriya. Then also it has got the same auspiciousness as that word om which we use. See, Om Tat Sat can be explained why they are auspicious. Let us take it, explain it in a little, a little deeper meaning. Om comes from the verbal root in Sanskrit called Av. Av Dhatu means protect. Om is protection. Okay, Av Dhatu, may it protect, it protect. Tat stands for that infinite consciousness called Brahman. Sat is that infinite consciousness Brahman, which is the very support of this entire manifest universe. So, Om Tat Sat means let that infinite consciousness Brahman, which is the very support of this entire universe, may that Brahman protect me. May my karma, whether it is dana or whether it is yajna or whether it is tapaha, may this karma of mine be protected. May I be protected by this infinite consciousness, the very support of this entire universe called Brahman. May that Brahman protect me and protect the karma. That's it. No phala abhisandhi. There's no question of desiring anything. Let me and my karma be protected. In whatever way it has to be protected. Whatever I have to get out of it, that is not my concern. That is the concern of Bhagwan. So, whatever it is, this is to be done. This yajna, worship, this danam, sharing, this tapaha, discipline, this ahara, this food that I am doing, this is what is to be done. And when I do it with Om Tat Sat at the beginning and in the middle, what I'm doing is I'm invoking that very, very auspicious, Brahman, which is the very adhishtanam of this entire universe, and that which is this infinite consciousness, may that Brahman protect me. This is the intention of chanting Om Tat Sat, either in the beginning or at the end of anything that I do. At the beginning of the study, we start with Om and then Shanti Pata, correct? And then at the end of it, at the end of every chapter, we again end it with Om Tat Sat. So here he says, Taditi also, Phalam Anabhisandhaya, whatever karma I am doing, Tat iti, when I use the word Tat, then also it has the same meaning and the same protective aspect to me, the doer of the karma, and also the karma that is done by me. So moksha kankshibhihi means by all the mumukshus. So whenever, but then tat, that's fine. But then since we use, see, instead of using om or tat or sat, how much time does it take to say om tat sat? Another half second more. And here we are having this whole thing where when we say Om Tat Sat, if there is this kind of an understanding, may that infinite consciousness, which is the very Adhishtana Swarupam of this entire universe, May that Brahman protect me. Okay. Ma Brahmanira, Mama Brahmanira Karut. Let Brahman not reject me. Let me not reject Brahman. That is the Shanti Pata of Chandogya Upanishad of the Samaveda. So here, so tat also is used in the same context, in the same way as om is used. Dana kriyascha vividaha kriyante moksha kankshibhihi. Then what is this sat? What is the meaning of sat? Sadbhave sadhubhave cha sadityetat prayujyate prashaste karmani tatha sat shabdah partha yujyate. Sat means that ultimately that Paramarthika Satyam, that Aksharam Brahma, which is the very Adhishtanam of this entire manifest and unmanifest universe. And we use this Sat in many, many instances. Sadbhave as the very existence itself. Sadhu bhave. Sadhu bhave means when a person is of a good conduct. That's why we are called as santas or sadhus. A person with a good conduct, with the right conduct, as it is expected out of a human being in the Shruti and Smriti. Such is a sadhu bhava. Sadbhava, sadhu bhava. Sadbhava means that I see that Brahman in everything that I do. Sadhu bhava means that conduct which I follow, which is sadhu bhava, where also we say sadbhava and sadhu bhava. Then sat ityetat prayujyate. So this sat shabda is used in any of these things. Sadbhave, sadhu bhave, prashaste karmani, in any kind of a good karma, in a karma which is praiseworthy, prashaste karmani, as sat karma. Don't we say that? Sat karma. This person is doing sat karma. May always sat karma happen. Means what? Keeping in mind that Sat Brahma, may that Sat Brahma protect me iti, any karma done becomes a Sat karma. And with that intention, anything that is done when it becomes sadkarma, my conduct becomes a sadbhava. Because I don't see that Brahman to be separate or distant from me. I have that idea that whatever is this Brahman, and may this infinite consciousness existence Brahman protect me iti in the back of my mind always. My conduct becomes what? Sadhu bhava, and that always is there in my mind. Sadbhava, sat karma, tatha sat shabda partha yujyate. So when a sat karma is done with sadbhava and sadhubhava, that word sat which is used, that is the very sthiti, that is the very core, that is the very center of all my karma. Therefore sat shabda has these meanings: sadbhave, sadhubhave, sat shabda, prashaste karmani. In all these, the Sat Shabda is used in the form of that which is the very center, which is the very core, which is the very adhishtanam, which is the very support of everything that I do. And may that Sat Brahman be a blessing to me in all my karmas. And therefore, Om Tat Sat Iti, all the three phrases used in whatever I do makes whatever I do auspicious. Even a Rajasika karma may become a Satvika karma. So I may not follow the Shastra, but whatever karma I am doing, with Om Tat Sat I start and end, it makes it a karma which is a Satvika karma and which also has the very importance of as though it is a Shastriya karma itself. Then the last two words, concluding verses. यज्ञे तपसि दाने च स्थितिः सदिति चोच्यते कर्म चैव तदर्थीयं सदित्येवाभिधीयते. Other meanings of the Sat Shabda is being Yagne Tapasi Dane Cha Sthiti. That sthiti or that on which the Yajna, Dana and Tapas are based, that is also called as Sat. Another explanation, Karma Chaiva Tadarthiyam. Any karma that is done, Tadarthiyam, for the sake of that, for that Brahman, for that Bhagwan, for that Ishvara, Sadityeva Abhidiyate. So the various meaning, sadbhave, sadhubhave, prashaste karmani, then sthitihi, dane tapasi sthitihi, and also in karma as sat karma. All these are the abhidhanas or the names or the meanings given for this Sat-shabda, and the Sat is nothing but that Brahman. Therefore, Om Tat Sat Iti. Whenever we use this phrase of three words together, then it makes all my karma a sattvika karma. All my karma becomes auspicious karma. Whatever it may be, whether it is a laukika karma, whether it is a Vaidika karma. So now the concluding verse of the 17th chapter is Ashraddhaya hutam dattam tapastaptam kritam chayat asadityuchyate partha nachatat pretya no iha. Therefore, Arjuna, you asked me a question. The very first verse, you asked me a question that a person may not understand what Shastra says, but then whatever he does with this kind of a Shraddha. He comes from that attitude of doing something to the best of his ability for the benefit of himself and others. And that Shraddha, what is that Shraddha, you asked? And I have explained all this to you. And therefore, Arjuna, anything done with this Shraddha need not be always Shastra Vihitam only, but anything that is done with this Shraddha and done with the Shraddha where the Om Tat Sat is used in every karyam that is being done, Laukikam va Vaidikam karya, such a karma becomes a auspicious karma, a sattvika karma. But ashraddhaya hutam dattam tapastaptam kritam chayat. Anything that is done without this shraddha, without any kind of a shraddha, without following any kind of, whether that means what here Bhagwan wants us to do is to observe ourselves in all our actions, whether it's ahara, whether it is our laukika interaction with other people, whether it is how we speak, how we discipline our bodies, how we discipline our mind, how we share whatever we have. Let us see where we come from, with what shraddha we come from. Is it a satviki shraddha? Is it a rajasi shraddha? Is it a tamasi shraddha? Is it something that I'm doing just to impress others? Is it something which I'm doing only to attract the attention of others? Or is it something which I'm doing that which is to be done for my good, for my spiritual progress, and also side by side I benefit others also? Is this my intention? What is my intention? Which Shraddha I come from? As I said, Shraddha is not one word where you say faith is Shraddha. No. Shraddha is a word which includes my whole attitude, where I come from, how I interact, what it means to me to be doing something when I'm doing something. This whole thing is the Shraddha. And when that Shraddha is not there, when that awareness of where I come from, what is that attitude with which I come from, that is not there, he says, Ashraddhaya Hutam. When any yajna is done without any Shraddha, just for the sake of show off or just to harm others, when it is either rajasic or tamasic, kind of a is one. When I do any hutam means that yajnam which is done, ashraddhaya, dattam, any danam which is given without any shraddha, which we have described this entire 17th chapter, what this shraddha is, what is the meaning of the shraddha, what kind of shraddha. This without this shraddha, if I do any of a yajna, so whatever is hutam, whatever is offered in the yajna, whatever is dattam, whatever danam I give, either at the time of any kind of a yajna or at anything, whatever at the appropriate place, time, I don't see that, no shraddha. Simply give because something has to be, I have to get rid of somebody by giving something. So, this kind of giving danam, tapastaptam, doing some kind of a discipline without any kind of a shraddha in it, only harming, swapidanam as well as parapidanam, that kind of kritam chayat. Anything that I do, either of these three or any other laukika karma that I do, ashraddhaya, without being aware of where I come from, what is my disposition, what is my attitude, what is my shraddha. When I do this without even being aware of what is happening here, Such an action asad ityuchate. That action has no auspiciousness in this. It is not protected by Bhagwan or Brahman. It has no value at all. It is a karma done bahulayasam, only ayasa. There is only the strain of physical, vak, and mental strain of doing something where it has really not served its purpose at all. So when this karma, either a yajna, dana, tapas, or whatever it is, when it serves the purpose of a spiritual growth for me, and also living in harmony with the other jivas in the universe, if this purpose is not served, then whatever Vaidikam va Laukikam karma that I do, that is ashraddhaya done, ashraddhaya kritam. And that ashraddhaya kritam, it is called as asad. It has no value. It is as good as not being done. And such a karma done, na tat pretya no iha. It does not give me any kind of a benefit either here, iha, or later after death. So I do not earn any kind of a goodness or goodwill or good karma, papa, punya, whatever it is. I punya, let us not call about papa, punya or whatever it is. I don't get anything out of it. So it is literally a karma which has gone waste, which has been done without any kind of a thought given to how I am doing it, from where I am coming, what is my attitude towards this particular thing. Is it something auspicious that I consider this as auspicious, or am I doing it simply because I have to do it? So, if this kind of an awareness or shraddha is not there in me, whatever action I do is as good as not being done. It is a mere physical and emotional strain and stress, but nothing comes out of it, either for me personally as a mumukshu or for another person for whom I am doing it. It becomes a asad iti uchate. Therefore, it becomes, just a matter of strain for the body without getting any kind of a result or any kind of an auspiciousness to that. Therefore, Arjuna, either follow the Shastra as what the Shastra says, or come from the Shraddha. Whatever you do, may that be Shraddha Yuktaha, whatever you do. And as far as possible, be aware whether your Shraddha is Sattviki, Rajasi, or Tamasi. If you are of a Tamasi or Rajasi, Prakriti or Shraddha, try to become or to have Satviki Shraddha. It is possible. You may have all the three gunas in you, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, but then your Shraddha can be improvised upon. If you are basically a person with Tamasi Shraddha, you can elevate yourself to Rajasi Shraddha first, and from there you can elevate yourself to Satviki Shraddha. And that possibility is there. And therefore, hey Arjuna, always concentrate upon or be awareful of where you come from and what is your shraddha in doing anything in this jagat, Vaidikam va Laukikam karma. With this, we have completed the 17th chapter. Om Tat Saditi Srimad Bhagavad Gitasu Upanishatsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishnarjuna Samvade Shraddhatraya Yogo Nama Saptadashodhyayah. So from next time, for a period of about 10 sessions, we'll be completing the Bhagavad Gita. 18th chapter will be started next. And 18th chapter is basically a summary. It's just a take-home message of all that we have done in the last 80 sessions. So we'll start with the 18th from next time. Om Tat Sat. नन्दन्तु साधका सर्वे विनश्यन्तु विदूषकाः अवस्थाशाम्भवी मेस्तु प्रसन्नोऽस्तु गुरुः सदा सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखमाप्नुयात् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय.